Hi guys, sorry, there was a bit of a mishap with the technology going on our side. So we've moved over to the UCD Global YouTube channel. I'm Miranda. I'm with the UCD Global Admissions team, and then I'll be just asking the questions that you guys ask, and then I will be also asking these guys to introduce themselves, and they'll be here to kind of answer any questions they might have before you come over to UCD. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves for a second?
Yeah, so my name's Lauren. I work with the UCD admissions team as well, and I'm also a past student at UCD.
Hi everybody, I'm Colin. I'm the International Student Support Officer. I'm part of the Global Experience team. Some of you may have been in contact with me already in relation to accommodation and orientation.
Hi, I'm Cody. I'm a master's student here at UCD.
Okay, so we have a few questions prepped that we're going to just start off the conversation with, but feel free to just send us your questions in the comments, and then I'm going to go through them and see the ones that are applicable to multiple of you. I'm just going to ask these guys in front of me to answer, and then the ones that are very specific, I'm going to direct you guys to the International Admissions email address, and then we can answer them there. So we'll just start off, because we're really close, we'll start off for orientation, and with you, Colin.
Yeah.
Are there orientation events for specific events, and then what are the orientation events that are happening?
Okay, so we have planned a really exciting orientation program that is going to start on Friday, the 30th of August. And our student ambassadors, our global guides, will be in the airport for 4 days from the 30th up until September 2nd, inclusive, in T2 from 8 AM till 5 PM. So for anybody arriving during those times, please make sure that you speak to our global guides. They will be in purple hoodies. They'll answer any questions that you have, and they'll also point you in the direction of where you can take the bus, either to UCD or to the city centre. It's called the Air Coach. And for anybody who is travelling on this coach, we've negotiated a discount with the company. So if you're booking online, if you key in as the password summer 2019 and summer all in capitals, you'll get the discount applied to your ticket that way. But throughout the week as well, we have other activities. We have the International Student Cafe on Fair. That's taking place on the 5th of September. And that's a great opportunity for you to meet with support representatives from across the campus. So we will have student societies at it. We will have representatives from the library. If people are interested in learning other language, there will be staff from Bord na Gaeilge, maybe who would like to learn Irish. There will also be reps from the Applied Language Centre. They have several elective languages. There are also practical activities. UCD is a really big campus, so we have tours of the campus with our student ambassadors who will show you, maybe for example, if you're going to be studying science or engineering, they'll show you where that building is, and then some of the facilities like the sports centre, the student centre. We have a lot of informals, coffee afternoons, a scavenger hunt. So it's all about meeting people from outside of your course. We have a big intake of students arriving. So come to the events and you can meet both the staff in UCD Global and other students.
Okay. So just can you recap that offer code for the early because that's going to be useful?
Yeah, sure. So it is summer 2019, and summer is all in capitals, each letter. Summer 2019.
Okay, kind of more of on campus, is there going back to accommodation if some people are kind of late coming into admissions, and then also to grab accommodation? On-campus accommodation is booked, but what about off-campus?
Okay, yeah, for on-campus rooms, it depends which cohort. So for example, for full degree undergraduate students, there is a really limited number of rooms remaining at this stage. So students should continue, if you're interested in on-campus accommodation, check your SysWeb account and the resident section, because anytime there is a cancellation, the rooms are released back onto SysWeb and they will be live again. So for example, even if you don't want to today. You could look tomorrow and there may be one, but like I said, it's a really limited numbers of chances at this late stage would be quite slim. All of the graduate rooms are gone also, but again, once there's a cancellation, those rooms will be put live on the system also. For off-campus, some of you may have been in contact with us already. We have the off-campus guide, and that gives useful tips on what areas to look in, which areas are close to the university, and the do's and don'ts. I'd like to emphasise though at the start about scams, because recently several students have called into the office following accommodation scams where they've paid a high amount of fees. They thought they were getting a room, but it turned out it was a complete scam. So students should never hand over any money for a property without viewing it in person and also receiving a signed lease. And if somebody contacts you out of the blue, several students have been contacted, for example, via Facebook with room offers, you should always be very skeptical and ask a lot of questions. And if it seems too good to be true, chances are that it probably is. So we have some useful links in the off-campus booklet, and we've been sending emails also to students. So make sure you look at the advice, because it's really, really important that you're careful. There's great support in the accommodation office here on campus via the accommodation pad, and they have a listing of off-campus rooms available close to the campus. Some people may like to stay with a host family. That's an option as well. The great thing, just going back to the accommodation pad, is there is a forum and message board, so you can interact with other students, get their advice. Maybe some of them are leaving their property and they can offer the rooms that way. We also have the Facebook group for incoming international students. Some students post about rooms in that, and Students' Union also are a great resource. On their Facebook page, they have a listing that's updated daily.
Thanks for that, Colin. Cody, you used to live off campus. Can you talk us through your previous experience and how that went?
Sure. I spent some time on def.ie. You can set up property alerts, so that way if something comes in within your budget or within the area that you're looking for specifically, they'll send you an email, so that way as soon as those listings come up, you can be one of the first people to get on it and stuff. For viewings, I would highly suggest, as soon as you get your Irish number, to get calls rather than emails. For each property that gets listed, they just get absolutely inundated with emails and can't respond to every single one. And so calling, talking with the person, setting up a viewing is the best way to do it, I think.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, there are a couple of questions kind of going back to orientation. What about joint honors? Are there joint honors orientation programs for the students, or do they have to go to both orientation sessions, or can they just go to one if they kind of overlap?
Okay, so we have the main international orientation program that's open to everyone, and we have a lot of different events, but it's also really important that you check the orientation program for your area of study. So for example, the President's Welcome, several ceremonies take place, and it's important that you go to the event that's aligned to your program.
Okay.
What I would say as well is just not all programs have a specific orientation. It does depend on the school. They will always send you an email about any orientation event that they have. So if you haven't received one, either reach out to the school, but chances are that they just don't run one, but do come to our events instead.
Oh, that's good. We're always here. Speaking of we're always here, where are we? Are we the Global Lounge in the UCD Global? Where is this located?
Okay, so we're in the Gerard Manley Hopkins building, and that's where the UCD Global office is. We have an office upstairs and also down in the basement also. But the Global Lounge is a really exciting space. It's currently being refurbished and it will be ready before you arrive. And we'll have a lot of events taking place there. And the great thing about the lounge is it's managed by our student ambassadors, our global guides. So if you have any questions relating to your studies or getting around the campus, they're a really great resource, and they have a lot of information. They're current students, and they're a mixture of international and Irish students as well. So they can give you really good advice. But throughout the semester as well, We have activities taking place like society events and National Day celebrations and an introduction to the Irish jobs market. It's a really mixed and varied programme, but we're always interested in hearing about potential events. So if you have any ideas for us about activities you'd like to run, please let us know.
Okay, thanks for that. Kind of sticking with the same idea, what about registration? When will registration open for each individual program, and how does that go?
So registration, for depending on your program, it'll be sometime throughout the month of August. You'll get your UCD Connect email in the lead up to registration as well, and all your emails will be going to both your personal and your UCD Connect email, so keep an eye on it. Basically what will happen is you'll receive an email telling you when you can register. So for master's students, you will get an email telling you what time and what day you can go on and start registering for your modules, and for undergraduate students they'll give you a window to go online as well. So just please just keep checking your emails in this month. You're going to get a lot of information. The orientation timetable should have already been emailed to you, and again you'll get loads of information around registration and about coming to UCD, and if you're staying on campus you'll get information on that as well. So just keep checking all the emails that we're sending to you, and then if you're not sure on anything you can just email us and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Just again, guys, you can just, whoever's viewing us, you can send us your questions in, and then we'll be more than happy to answer them. How about the more kind of the nitty-gritty of the application system? What happens with scholarships, for example? Students that have received partial scholarships or global excellence scholarships and they're not showing on their accounts and fees.
Yeah, so your scholarships don't get applied to a bit later. So sometimes it can go into September before your global scholarship or your global excellence scholarship will be reflected on your fee statement in SysWeb. So what I would say is at this stage, don't panic. It's not going to affect your fees or how much you need to pay or anything like that. But it should start being applied to your account near the end of August. It could be the end of September before we get to all of them. If it's in October and it hasn't been applied, then come into the office and you can talk to us here and we'll have more information.
Okay. Just gonna go back to Cody again. So Cody, you're not from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just gonna ask you what your immigration experience has been, kind of going to for your IRP appointment and how that went and what documents you needed. Can you talk us through?
Sure. So hopefully people have been able to already secure a appointment in advance of arriving here. If not, don't worry. Most students get a 90-day stamp on their passports when they come through. A lot of students begin to worry about not having an appointment, and it's okay. It is difficult with the system, but you have to continue to keep trying to get an appointment. Eventually you will get one. It happens. And so with the appointment, you have to go with your passport. You have to show that you're financially stable, including bank statements, award letters if you're coming from the States with loans. You have to go with your certificate of attendance from SysWeb after being registered. What else?
Health insurance.
Health insurance, that's right. So you have to show that you have health insurance that covers, I think it's €25,000 in hospital. And so what you do is you print out all those documents, best just to keep them in a folder anyways, because you have to show them at the Dublin airport when you land. So just take those with you, and it's a €300 fee that you apply, and you'll get your IRP card mailed to you.
Okay. Just to kind of it's quite scary when you get to the airport and when you kind of present all your documents and the airport officers are asking you, what are you doing in the country? What are some of the do's and don'ts with regards to that? What do you say? What do you definitely not say?
Well, you should definitely say that you're here to study. I think that's the first answer. But if you have all your documents, you shouldn't have any problem whatsoever. With your certificate of attendance, just say, look, I'm going to study. I'm going to be here for this long. Show them that you're registered, that you have health insurance, that you sometimes they'll ask for bank information. Each immigration officer is completely different. They might ask you different questions. You might hear from a friend they asked you one thing when they asked you something else. Don't worry, it's just part of the immigration process. But if you have your documentation, you should have no problem whatsoever.
Okay. So more on the people that actually do need a visa before they come into Ireland. What if people are still waiting on their visas? What would they do?
If you're still waiting to receive your visa, I would say, the important thing is don't book any flights until you get it at least. And then if it's getting closer to orientation, if it's the week before orientation, get in touch with us. Email international admissions, or if you've come through one of the global centres, get in touch with them. And they'll be able to talk you through kind of your options and what to expect to happen. Sometimes people need to defer an offer if they don't get their visa in time, or if they applied a bit too late. Not all programs are eligible for a deferral, so if that's something that you're thinking you might need, you can again email us and we'll talk you through what that process is and if it's possible for you. But the important thing is just keep us in the loop and update us at every stage. But hopefully you all get your visas in time and you apply in time and you'll be here for orientation.
Okay, so we've got a question regarding to immigration. On the list of documents required to show at immigration checkpoint at the Dublin airport, is the letter of university offer the one reflected in the SysWeb platform?
Yeah, so on the INIS website, it often refers to it as a letter of acceptance, which is slightly different to what UCD gives. So we use the certificate of attendance, which is what you'll be able to access once you're registered. So that's what you'll use if you're a UCD student, and you can get that from your SysWeb. The student desk here in the Tierney building will be printing them off for free as well for international students. So if you need it once you arrive, you can go to the Tierney building and they'll print off the certificate of attendance. It's what students also use to open a bank account, and it'll have your address listed on it also.
Okay, so that would be for when you go for your GNIB appointment.
Yes.
But coming into Dublin at the airport, you would need your offer letter.
Offer letter,
Yeah,
sorry,
offer
no,
letter.
apologies, I misunderstood.
No.
Yeah, your offer letter would suffice for coming into the airport.
And that is on the SysWeb account.
Yeah, so you can download that from the applications portal.
Yeah.
You can just download it there, and again, it'll have your address and everything, your program, everything like that will be on it.
Okay. If on campus accommodation, going back to you, Colin, if people have already paid a deposit for accommodation, what is left to pay and how will they do that?
Okay, so it depends how long people are staying for, if you're staying for a single semester, 2 semesters, or some people stay for up to 3 semesters. But the important thing to note is that you won't be able to move into your accommodation unless you pay the first instalment of fees. So that will be due before the date of check-in, which is the 29th of August. So if you're staying, for example, for a single semester, you would have to pay that instalment, everything up front. But if you're staying for 2 or 3 semesters, you can pay in several installments. So the best advice for people, if you've already booked your room, if you go to the resident section of your SysWeb account, check out the finance screen, and on that it will give you the breakdown. So when the next payment is due, when the second installment is due.
Okay, thanks for that. Again, going back to Lauren, pre kind of arrival things, how do students complete their vetting process?
Yeah, so some of our clinical programs will require students to go through the vetting process. If this is required, you will have received an email and will also be stated in your offer letter. Basically, any country that you've lived in outside of Ireland for more than 6 months, you will need to get a police certificate clearance. So hopefully, again, if you've had your offer for a while now, you would have already started this because it can take some time. Basically, they need it before you can go on any placements. So there is a vetting process email address as well. So if you email us, we can put you in contact with that team if you're not sure in any part of the process. But it is detailed on their website as well.
Okay. Let's just go to some of the kind of the more easygoing questions. Once you're here, what do you do? So what phone plan would you recommend? And what's the best way to communicate with friends and family back home, wherever that may be?
So myself and some other of my friends, we all use 3. It's €20 a month for unlimited data. And then from there, a lot of us use either Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp for keeping in contact with friends. I had to install it for my grandparents before I left home. That way they could keep in contact with me. I think that's probably one of the better ways to do it. There's other phone plans. I know Vodafone has one, Air has one. I think there's a Tesco one as well. So it just depends. You can look into those. But I know 3 generally tends to be pretty reliable outside the city as well.
And is anything going to happen that they come on campus during orientation week or?
Yeah, during orientation week for the full week, representatives from 3 Mobile will be, so they'll be giving out SIM cards and telling you what plans are available. And the €20 plan is the best one that Cody just described. So if you are bringing your phone from home, make sure that it's unlocked before you come here, so then it will be compatible with the 3 or another Iris SIM card.
Just another question we got from Molly. Is an EU passport sufficient to not require a GNIB registration?
Yes,
Yeah.
you should enter. If you have a EU passport or citizenship, you should definitely enter with that.
Yeah. So you don't need anything.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Where can I get my student travel card? And what is that?
So you can get the LEAP card. It's the card that you can pay for almost all transportation around Dublin. You can use it on the DART, which is the rail system that runs along the bay. You can use it for Dublin Bus. You can use it for the Lewis, which is the light rail system here. I think some other buses might use it as well. You can get it will they be at the student offices again?
Yeah,
the
Students' Union.
Right, so you can go to the Students' Union. I think it's just €10, is it?
Yeah.
Right, it's €10, and it's good for the next year. You just have to go with your student ID, no problem whatsoever. You can actually do the application online, so that way when you go up there, you just give them the reference number, print it out, you hand them the money. It does save a lot, and it caps at certain amounts. You can look more on the Student Leap website, but it caps far lower than a regular Leap card does. So that way you can travel more around, see Dublin.
Yeah, and it's really effective, just like Cody was saying. You can save approximately 25%, I think, on bus journeys, but it also means that you don't have to worry about cash because the bus is here. If you put coins in, you don't get change immediately, and also they don't take notes, so it's a lot more convenient.
Okay, a couple more questions that came through. Health insurance wise, someone already has personal health insurance and in the US, and it covers them in different countries as well. But do they need to have a document explicitly stating they're covered for $25,000 in the hospital?
Yes, it has to clearly outline, so your policy plan should be able to outline exactly how much it covers. And so if it covers more than $25,000 for a hospital or the requirements that INIS has on their website, it should work just fine. You just have to have a printout of it in your folder of important documents.
Okay. And can someone apply for a bank account without having a permanent address? They haven't yet found a place, and it could take a few weeks.
No, so it's very difficult if you don't have a permanent address. You definitely don't want to mail it to any kind of Airbnb or hostel or whatnot, because once you set up an Irish bank account, they mail your card with you separate from your PIN number, and so you don't want to lose either of those after you've registered, especially at a temporary place.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do would be to wait until you find accommodation. Like I was saying, your certificate of attendance will have your address on it. So once you find somewhere to live, once you update the address, immediately that will go onto your certificate of attendance, and you can use that to open a bank account. We have an AIB branch on campus. A lot of international students would go there because they're familiar with working with international students and bank transfers internationally as well. And there are other banks around Dublin, but that one's probably the handiest. If you're lucky enough to maybe have a friend or family who are already in Dublin, you could provide their address originally, but just as Cody said, they're going to mail you bank statements and your bank card and your PIN as well, and you don't want to lose that, or you don't want that going somewhere that you're not going to be. So I would say wait until you find something and then open the bank account.
Yeah, so it's best a trustworthy kind of address where you know you can always go back to.
Exactly.
Okay. How far is UCD from town, and how would you get into town from UCD?
So UCD is, I think, it's about 2 miles outside of the Liffey. There's so many bus routes that run directly from UCD. They're the 3 bus routes that make up the Quality Bus Corridor, 39A, 46A, and the 145. They all stop at UCD. There's other buses like the 155 and goes all the way to IKEA, the 11 on the other side of UCD. So there's a multitude of ways to get from UCD both into town. There's also the shuttle that goes to the DART. There's I think is the 175 that goes to the Dundrum.
Yeah.
So you can take the Lewis from there as well. It's really accessible. I cycle to UCD. Dublin has cycle lanes all across, so it's really easy to get in and out of town.
And there's also, I think there's also an app that can help you with keeping track of buses.
So there's a few different, there's the Dublin Bus app, which is the best. And then also Transport for Ireland, which is really good if you want to search across all different kinds of transport to see which one would be faster or which one comes closest to the location that you're going to.
Yeah, so I think it's called what? Bus now.
There's the Dublin Bus app, and then there's the Transport for Ireland app as well.
Yes. Use those together, and then it's great
Yeah.
because Google Maps. You can look up Google Maps most of the time, but the stop names are mostly wrong,
Yeah.
and so you don't know where you're getting off
And it
at.
doesn't always give the best route or the most direct route.
And not even the right times either. So it's better just to download the Dublin Bus app and the Transport for Ireland.
But it is reliable. So
Yes, absolutely. It works great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, Cody, about cycling. We do have a bike shop on campus as
Yes.
well, so maybe if you're
Bike
interested
there.
in getting a second-hand bike,
Mm-hmm.
getting there.
Yeah, they're
What's the
great.
price range for secondhand bikes there?
It's a very good question. I think about 150, 170 or so.
And they also do a buyback scheme.
Yes.
So if you buy a new bike off them, it's probably best for undergraduate students if you're going to be here for a while, but even master's students, if you buy a bike off them at the end of your degree, they'll buy it back for a portion of the price, and that's where they get most of their secondhand bikes from there as well. And they also, there's bike pumps now located all around campus as well, and they're installing more bike racks, so a lot more students are cycling to UCD.
So really good deals. How about the safety on campus? Is UCD a safe campus?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have 24/7 security on campus, and once you get here, you'll see them going around the uni caravans. It isn't gated in, so it is actually an open campus and it is open to the public. But like I said, there's 24-hour security. There's also RAs that look after the residences at night as well. And because we're located just a little bit away from the city centre, we're a bit more secluded. So it's technically an urban campus, but we are about 15-20 minutes away, so it is quite quiet, and it's pretty private as well.
Yeah, no one really want to kind of come over here
No.
for just a stroll. Kind of going back to immigration question. So do people have to pay for their tuition fees in full before they travel to Ireland and go through immigration, and have proof to be granted entrance, and what other documents, if you can recap, would they be asked for at the airport?
So you have to, if your course is more than 12,000 euro, you have to show that you've paid for at least 6,000 euro of that. So that's one of the documents that you'll have to bring with you. There's to go back to the documents then for the IRP appointments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, to coming into
Oh,
Dublin.
to coming in?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have to have your offer letter from UCD to show why you're coming into Dublin. You'll have to be able to demonstrate that you have financial stability with at least, what's the amount? 3,000 euro accessible in the bank. That can just be a bank statement, a picture of the bank, as long as it has a date on it from the last 3 months. And then you have to show health insurance that covers at least 25,000 euro in hospital fees. I think it's all of them, right?
I would say go and look at what you need for your IRP appointment and have that coming through the airport. So you probably would have the certificate of attendance, but use your offer letter instead of that, and just have all of those documents coming through the airport.
So I just pasted a useful guide to your IRP registration. So it's a short video. It's very useful to just go and have a look after this live feed, and just kind of, if you have any further questions, you can always reach back to us through our email address. Right. What would be, so for people that are still paying tuition fees, what would be the best way to pay tuition without being charged tons of extra fees and for courtesy conversions? Or is that?
I guess it would depend on your bike. There's a few different ways to pay. So you can do it by bank transfer, and the bank information is online. This is the longest way to pay fees, though. It does take the maximum amount of time. It can take anything from 10 working days to 2 weeks. You can do it directly online by debit or credit card. Again, that will depend though on your bank conversion rates, or A third-party payment can also pay online on your behalf, which is useful. They just need your student number. Or the other way is TransferMate, which is a third-party payment. They're an Irish company, and that their receipts work instantaneous as well for paying the fees. So I would say the best thing to do is just check with your bank and check what the conversion rate is.
Yeah, so unfortunately, every transaction would kind of come with a bit of a cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of going back to the more student perspective, once students are actually here, how do they join clubs and societies? And how does orientation introduce that to the students?
Well, the main time to join societies will be Freshers Week, and that's week 2 of teaching term, where there is a big tent close to the student centre, and you can meet with all of the society reps and committee members. So that's a great opportunity. But also during orientation week, a lot of events take place in the student centre that are organised by, for example, Draw Sock do events. The International Student Society are really active, and the Erasmus Student Network. So even if you want to get a taste of some of the activities they may offer before Freshers Week, you will have an opportunity throughout orientation. That's why it's important for people to arrive early, not just when classes start, because that first week when you arrive, there's an opportunity to familiarise yourself with the campus, with the support services, and also some of the student socks as well.
Okay. So how early can you actually arrive on campus? For example, if people are on campus accommodation?
Okay, so the earliest move-in date is the 29th of August. So if people are arriving, for example, on the 26th or 27th, it won't be possible, unfortunately, to move in earlier. So if anyone has already booked their flight and they've booked on campus accommodation also, we advise you to get temporary accommodation, maybe Airbnb or a hostel for a couple of nights.
Okay. Just for a few people that came in slightly late, do you guys have kind of hints and tips for where people can find off-campus accommodation that's safe?
Okay, so for off-campus accommodation, I mentioned earlier, there's a really great resource in our accommodation office here. It's managed by Jacinta, and it's called the UCD Accommodation Pad. And on that, there's a listing of off-campus rooms available. You can also check out the distance to UCD, and there is a message board for interacting with other students. And I mentioned earlier also about scams. It's really important for the people who just joined us. Please don't pay any money without seeing a property in person or receiving a signed lease. It can be tempting if you're, for example, in your home country and you see an advertisement and its property is close to UCD and everything seems genuine and bona fide. But please don't transfer any money under these circumstances, because some students recently did, and it turned out that it was a scam. There are also a lot of other useful off-campus resources. Students' Union have a Facebook page dedicated to this. We also have the incoming new UCD International Student page. Hosting Power, maybe if you're interested in staying with a host family. So I've just listed quite a few websites. If you haven't received our off-campus booklet already, please email internationalaccommodation@ucd.ie and we can send it to you.
Okay, thanks for that. Kind of again on the accommodation question, how do people find out information on roommates for on-campus accommodation? And how do they see if they actually have any roommates yet?
Okay, so if you go to the residence section of your SysWeb account, and if you click on My Residence, it will give you a listing of your apartment details. And if you scroll to the bottom of that page, you can see details of your roommates, their names, and who's already booked in there.
Okay. Colin or Cody, or you guys mentioned at some point the student center. What is the student center and what facilities does it have?
The student centre is a great place. There is an Olympic-sized swimming pool, there's a debating chamber, there's a broadcasting unit. A lot of society events take place down there, and during orientation there's so much activity. Maybe Cody, you could talk about your experience of using some of the facilities.
Sure. There are different meeting rooms where students' societies will meet. I met with the International Student Society quite a few times there. They've hosted events. There's also an SU shop over there, the pharmacy's over there, the gym. What else? There's the coffee shop that's in there. It's just a great place in general. There's also, for meeting with people and stuff, there's a billiards table on the other part of it as well. What is the name of the radio station here? It's Belfield FM.
Belfield FM, yeah.
Belfield FM. So they broadcast the radio station out of the student center, actually. It's pretty neat.
There's also a cinema and there's a theatre in there as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on, I think, in the student centre. It's a great hub and it's a new building. They extended it a few years ago. There's also the health centre there. So we do have a doctor on campus and you get a student rate for going to the doctor. And then we also have a counselling service on campus, which is free for students. We have 6 counsellors here during term time. I think there's 4 outside of term time as well. And you can refer yourself to the counselling service. There is sometimes a wait list, but then there's also your student advisors. So we have Colin Cronin, who's an international student advisor, and then each college will have their own program advisors as well. So if you need to talk to anyone, I would say always go to one of your student advisors first, and they'll be able to kind of tell you what facilities are on campus.
Can you define what a student advisor is a bit more?
Yeah, so a student advisor is essentially just, there's someone there that you can go and talk to if you have any problems, regardless of what that problem is. If it's anything to do with your schools or your exams, or you just want to chat to someone, they're there. So Colin, our student advisor, he would kind of specialise in immigration. He would have a lot of experience with immigration and the INIS registration. I'm sure some of you have seen his videos online and on Facebook at this stage. But then the college student advisors would have more knowledge about that college and your specific program. So if you have issues with exams, or if you fail an exam or you miss an exam, your student advisor will be able to lay out your options to you and just give you some support and some advice.
Okay, thanks for that. Kind of going back to the student center, what about the facilities, the gym and the pool? Can the students use the gym? How much does it cost? How much does the pool cost? And so on.
So you have to buy a yearly membership. I'm not too sure how much it is.
So it's you get a limited free one. So all students have to pay a student centre levy. It's about €270 for the year, and that's just to maintain the student centre. And with that, you'll get a limited free gym membership. So you'll get access to the gym. There's also a timetable of fitness classes that students get to attend for free. They do everything from circuit training to spinning classes to yoga to Pilates. And that's included in the student centre levy. Then there's also the pool, and there's a sauna and a steam room. That's not included in the basic membership. So you can pay €5 each time you want to use the pool or you want to use the sauna or the steam room. Or I think it's €99 for the year if you just want to upgrade your membership. So once you arrive, you're going to get an email telling you that you need to do a gym induction. You must do that before you get access to the gym and before your student card will let you get in. So when you do that, they'll tell you everything that you're kind of getting for free and then what you can pay for afterwards.
Okay. Thank you for that. Cody, do you have some tips for moving to Ireland or kind of prep kind of ideas what to do before coming over?
So I've seen a few people in the Facebook groups asking about what they should bring with them, what they should pack, what's essential to bring and stuff. Essential to bring is definitely a wide range of clothing. Ireland has weather that's quite variable. Make sure that if you have a waterproof raincoat. If not, you can always buy one here. It's probably the best thing, honestly, to save weight in your luggage. You'll need one of those, definitely. Its temperatures vary between about 32 Fahrenheit to about 70 or so. It's been
and in Celsius it would be like
Celsius 22. Does that sound
22 would be
that's
the
a good
maximum.
day.
That's a good day.
Okay,
That's
that's like extreme for Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
It's usually between 10 and 16.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are.
And then in
In
winter,
winter,
it
much
does go
lower.
down to 1 and 2 degrees.
Okay, there we are. There's your centigrade there. I would definitely leave heavier items at home, cooking implements, books. Try and bring a Kindle if you have one of those. If not, there's a lot of bookshops around Dublin for books. But you don't need to bring things like bed sheets or any of that kind of stuff because you can buy them here for quite cheap. You can go to Penny's or Dunn's or any number of stores that they have around here. There's IKEA to buy those kind of things. Cooking stuff you can buy here. What else to bring to Ireland? That's a big question. Because there's as you settle in, you'll discover what you need, and that you can always buy here what you didn't bring with you. It's a lot cheaper than shipping to just purchase things over here. And normally, if you hunt around, you can find good bargains on most things.
And I think that's good advice about not bringing too many items because, like Cody said, you can buy a lot of things here. And as part of orientation, there will be trips to some homeware stores. So if you need to buy items like bedding or kitchen items, you'll have an opportunity during our program.
Okay. So UCD, the campus itself is quite large. What facilities are on campus? For example, sports facilities, outdoor ones, indoor ones.
So we mentioned the gym, and there's the Olympic-sized swimming pool. We also have a football pitch. We have tennis courts. We have tarmac pitches as well, where people play rugby. We also then have the health centre. Everything's kind of towards the student centre. So once you get here, go and check that out and walk around. But also then outside the campus, there's a few fun things to explore. We have a vegetable garden. We do beekeeping on campus as well. We also have a veterinary hospital, which is in the vet building. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot to see and do, I think, when you're around campus.
Yes, absolutely.
If you guys, when you come on campus, if you want to come and drop by the Global Lounge, we have a couple of maps of the campus we can hand out and kind of say hi. Yeah.
It is quite large, but what I would say the main thing to remember is that the main academic buildings are all really, really close to each other. So actually to get from one to the other would probably be maximum a 10-minute walk. Unless you're in architecture, it's a little bit further. So all of the kind of outskirts of the campus is where you find the other things. And there's also, I think it goes up to a 6-kilometre woodland walk that goes around the outskirts of the campus. And it's all wooded there, and there's lakes and everything. So it's really, really gorgeous. But all of the main buildings are very central. So don't be afraid that if you think you're going to have to walk 30 minutes to get from your accommodation to science, they're really close.
So apparently on the Woodland Walk, there's a third hidden lake that UCB has, and it's
a bit of a myth
about. Yes,
people talk about it when you arrive. You'll probably find it fairly quickly.
So that's a bit of a task to go look for.
Yeah, during the scavenger hunt.
Oh, there.
Yeah. So if people have any more questions, you can always just ping them over through the live chat in the comments, and then we're gonna talk about them whilst these guys are still here. There's a little bit left of the live chat, so feel free to just send us in your questions. Okay. Did you guys have any other kind of previous experiences from you being students and kind of past students that you would want to share with incoming new students that kind of stood out to you guys?
I think for me personally, it was Freshers Week was a great week in my first year. So I'm not from Dublin, so I did move here as well. I didn't know many people on campus when I got here. And Freshers Week, like Colin said, there's the tent, and you can go around, you can talk to all the clubs and societies, and it's €2 to sign up. There's an abundance of free pizza, there's free popcorn, there's ice cream, there's loads of free food there. But also then the societies tend to do kind of events geared towards just introducing new members to the societies. So while there's the tent, during the evenings, there's loads of different events, like there's speed friending, and there's coffee mornings, and there's breakfast mornings. So it's a great way to get to meet current students, but also then new incoming students as well. And also then there's usually some form of common interest that's bringing you to that event. So at least you'll have someone that you'll have something to talk about outside of your program. So to me, that was a great week. I would just say get involved in as much as possible in that week, and then you'll kind of find what your group of friends or kind of where you like to hang out is, but use that week for that. I don't know, Cody, if you
know. Oh no, absolutely. I 100% agree. Freshers Week was a great time with between that and all the various orientation events that will be coming up.
Yeah.
The coffee mornings are a fantastic way to meet people. Like, you'll just be there and, you'll start talking to someone who will introduce you to someone else, and you'll meet all these people from around the world. UCD is such an international university. there's so many people from all over. Like when I got here from Texas, I didn't know anyone and met a lot of people. I mean, it's amazing, especially through the societies, because there's so many societies. There's game society, there's juggling. I really like that one. There's juggling. There's a bunch of international societies for different student groups, which is great for support. There's the International Student Society. What are some of the other ones?
The French one.
There's a French one, right? There's a Harry Potter Society.
There's a film society. There's a drama society. There's over 80. So if you can't find, I doubt you're not going to find something that you like.
There's at least one.
Like Film Society, they use the cinema on campus in the student centre, and they'll do like themed movie weeks often. So they might do a Hitchcock week, or they might do a Disney week, and you get free popcorn at all of their events. So you pay €2 in September, you can go see 2-3 free movies a week with free popcorn. So it's not a bad deal. But I think once you get here, you'll notice all the societies poster over the campus any events that they're running for that week. So we do postering each week. So different societies will be more active at different times of the year. So just keep your eyes peeled around campus. And if you don't sign up to a society, you can still go to their event and you can sign up later as well. So don't be worried about that in Freshers Week if you miss signing up to some societies that you like.
Most of them have Facebook pages too.
Yeah.
And so you can contact them through that to see what events they have. That way you can meet them and sign up then. So you're not pressured to do it all in,
in
1 week. Yeah, there's a lot.
Most years as well, the Societies Council produce a booklet that contains a listing of all the societies and a blurb on the various activities, so that's a good resource as well. But it's a lot more effective, I think, to meet with the members and reps in person at the tent.
I would say as well, then also the sporting clubs do something similar, but in the student centre, so they'll use the gym facilities. So again, we have a wide range of societies. We have, football and basketball and tennis. But we also have fencing, we have rock climbing, we have skiing, and they'll do different events in Freshers Week as well. A lot of them will do events where you can try out, so they'll use the rock climbing walls, and there's a trampolining society as well, so they'll let you kind of test out what they'll do. And then a lot of them would go on trips throughout the year as well and go to competitions either in Ireland or sometimes in other countries in Europe. It's a really, really busy week, but just try to take as much advantage of it as you can.
I think it's the excitement kind of keeps you going throughout the whole week. Yeah. There's a question that came through what the Ad Astra Academy is about.
Yeah, so UCD, the motto is Ad Astra for UCD. Basically, there's an Ad Astra Academy. So Ad Astra have certain scholarships that they award to students for different reasons. So they have academic scholarships, they have sporting scholarships. They're really, really high caliber. So usually if it's a sporting one, they're looking for you to be playing at national level. So basically, if you've been awarded the Ad Astra scholarship, you'll be able to take access to the Ad Astra Academy.
Okay. That sounds good. Was there anything else regarding maybe the orientation week that kind of you would want people to know before they kind of come in?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of activities planned and we have been emailing students with the full program, but if you haven't got that already, it's up on our website. If you go to the offers holder section, you can click and get the full program listed. And then we also have information on the website about getting to UCD, transport, unlocking your mobile phone. Like we mentioned earlier, orientation, it's all about getting involved. So it's not just what's happening in UCD. We also have day trips outside Dublin. We have a day trip to the GAA Croke Park Museum. That's like our museum of our national games, hurling and Gaelic football, if you're interested in learning about that. And we have a trip to a medieval castle. The fair and cafe on the Thursday of orientation week on the 5th is a key event. So I ask everyone to come to that because you won't just be meeting with representatives from support units, but there are lots of students at that event as well, and we will have free food and refreshments at it. And for the non-EU students as well, Colm, our student advisor, will be giving a talk on Ireland's immigration system. on the Friday, the 6th of orientation week at 12 noon. And he'll also be talking about what your travelling and working rights are. So that will be important, especially for people who have to register with the Irish Immigration Authorities. And other than that, the events in the Global Lounge, we very much have an open door, so you might just come for 10 minutes of the day, and that's fine as well. But do pop down, say hello to us, and meet with our global guides as well.
Can you just clarify again for some people what global guides are?
Yeah, our global guides are current students, our student ambassadors, and they work here in the Global Lounge. They're part of the Global Experience team, and they oversee the events that take place in the Global Lounge, so like society events, and they also play very much an active role in the activities in the lounge. So when we have games afternoon, they would take part in that. They also help with campus tours. Some of you may have met them before if you were a prospective student and you visited UCD. They would have shown you around. But the great thing about the Global Guides is that they've been through first year already. A lot of them have international experience. They've studied on exchange or they've worked abroad. So they can very much empathise with your experience and give you useful tips on integrating and settling in and what their recommendations are for joining societies and what their experience has been.
Okay, and Cody, did you have anything else that you wanted to recap or kind of wrap up with?
In case you don't know, UCD Global does show up on Google Maps. If you search UCD Global, it will bring you to the proper building. It is in the basement. Yeah, that one's correct. So if you do search it on Google Maps, in case you can't find it, it is the basement by Subway. It's you go down the stairs. It's recently going to be refurbished. It's going to be nice. There's a lot of events going on there. I strongly recommend just going to some of them. Even if you only go there for 10 minutes and you go somewhere else, it's worth the experience to meet people from all over. Most of the students will be international students as well. So, I mean, you'll meet so many people from everywhere.
And immigration-wise, was there anything that you kind of wanted people to kind of take home with them?
Take home. Make sure that you keep all of your documents together. When you land at the Dublin airport, you have to go through immigration before you can retrieve your luggage. So make sure that you have all of your documents. Have at least 2 copies of them. Put one in your suitcase and take one with you on the plane in your carry-on. That way, when you get to immigration desk and stuff, you can have them all in a folder. Pull them out. You hand them. You talk with the immigration officer. It's easy. And then you can use the same folder when you go for your IRP card at Innis, when you get your appointment. That way you have everything together. You're not worried about, did I forget this document? Do I have all my documents together? Make a checklist. It's the easiest way. Okay, yes, I have, my health insurance, certificate of attendance for your IRP card. You have your bank statement. Just keep all the papers together. That way you have no issue whatsoever.
Okay. Lauren, anything else you wanted to mention?
I think I would reiterate about orientation week and just how great it is. And do come say hi if you're here earlier. If you're here before orientation week, still come into the office. So we're open all summer. So if you want to come say hi to myself or Colin or Cody, you can. And if you have any questions, once you arrive, come here too. So you don't have to wait until the first Monday of orientation.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up at that. If you guys have any extra questions, we can always leave our email address here, and then you can always ping us an email. It's nationaladmissions@ucd.ie, and we're more than happy to answer or redirect you to the teams that can answer your questions. Thank you guys for taking part in this live chat and for your questions. And yeah, hope to see the guys that are watching this in September.
See you soon.